Thank you. Thank you, Siri. Done. That's one. That's two. All right. I'm going to assume it's good.
Yeah, what's today's date?
No, that doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. I'm starting mid-conversation.
Okay.
It's just going to start like a conversation. But what you're essentially talking about is you act like you're surprised that every single generation comes with a generation of idiots. Like, you act like you're surprised about this.
No, I'm
Every
not.
single generation comes with a generation of idiots that convince other idiots to believe in, like, a very narrow-minded point of view. And those people tend to say things in the most general sense, so they get the most general people that aren't doing research on, like, that type of a level.
Yeah.
If you were to quiz people on, like, all of the, like, very controversial events right now that are happening right now, if you were to quiz people on how much they know of the history of said events, they probably all fail.
Yeah, majority will fail.
Yeah,
A specific issue.
yeah,
Yeah, majority will fail.
100%.
Yeah, because it's not an issue that it's related to our day-to-day
Exactly.
living.
Yep.
So we were brought up to focus on our well-being, even though if we go into a career, we have to focus on that, what that career will give us for our future.
Yeah.
So we won't go out of our way that much to look for other issues that have to do with that it's not concerning us when it comes to our career.
No. The most
So it's
I
not.
truly believe that the most amount of history people learn is when, like, their gas price goes up.
Yeah,
That's when everybody becomes a historian.
that's right. For that, yeah, that's what we call the pocketbook issues, right? It's like anything that would take money out of your pocket or has taken money out of your pocket before and going to do it, and that's coming again, you are a historian
Yeah, exactly.
about that.
Because you want to know how your money's being affected from the very beginning, to argue with other people about how your money's being affected from the very beginning. And it just goes round and round and round in circles. The fact that somebody is like, oh, like, I don't, like, the whole woke issue of people not believing in the young generation, like, that's, like you said, you're disappointed in the fact that there are people that you consider to be part of academia that are intelligent thinkers that are looking at young people obviously trying to get into that same lane, whether they trip or fall or make mistakes along the way. That's just inevitable, that's going to happen. But you're disappointed at the fact that they look at them as a problem. Like, they look at these people that are young and, like, woke, and they're like, this is a problem type of a situation. Like, intelligence only does so much for, like that's why people differentiate intelligence and wisdom.
Yeah,
Because,
that's
like,
right.
wisdom is the type of skill or the type of, like, way of thinking that allows you to see where younger generations are coming from when having an issue with something.
Yeah,
Where just intelligence is knowing the series of events and then looking at other people like, why don't you know this series of events?
yeah, wisdom is what in philosophy they would say that time multiplied by knowledge.
Yeah.
You see, that's wisdom. So
Yeah.
the older you get, the more you learn, with
Yeah.
your experience. If you diversify yourself in so many different issues, you'll get to know more, you know,
Yeah.
You'll be rounded up with more information about things the older you get.
Right.
So those are good things if you are interested.
Right.
But if you are not interested to learn, you just focus on your narrow way of seeing the world because it's giving you the living that you want, then that wisdom that will give you, that wisdom that you want to acquire by knowing a lot, you won't get it.
Right.
You won't get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of us are like that because the power of our economy, our economic well-being is so strong that when we find a way to satisfy our economic well-being, other world issues, we don't care.
A lot of people see that through the narrow of like a lot of people see that through the perspective of like, and I'm curious to know what you would consider yourself, which is left or right. I feel like there's a left way of looking at economics and there's a right way of looking at economics, like in terms of like political spectrum. And they look at economics very differently. So like I'm curious to know whether or not you associate with one or not, or do you see a value in left and right debates?
Before, when I started to look at the left and right ideologically, I started to hear what is coming from the left and what is coming from the right. And when I started to tell myself that who will inform me for me to think that I'm left or right, I realized that I'm more like in the middle
Right.
because a certain information and ideology is coming from the right that makes sense to me. A certain ideology and point of view are coming from the left that makes sense to me. And a certain battleground just don't make sense to me when it comes to how we should see the world through one side's point of view and the other side point of view. So when I found out that even the word that they use like liberal and conservative, which the conservative is the right and the liberal is the left,
Yeah.
when I started to listen to how they explain that, the conservative side that I think makes sense, it's when they concentrate of the word conservative, which have to do with if we have something that it's good generally for human beings that they think is valuable, why don't we conserve it? Why don't we conserve it?
Yeah.
You know? Because that's what we have now.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Keep going.
That's what we have now.
Yeah.
And the liberal side want to brush away that common sense talking point by using that, oh, the world is progressing, the world is progressing. They still want to hold on to the past that they think they found, what they call it, religiosity in it, of what they call it, they find some value that have to do with their way of seeing the world in it. That's why they want to conserve it. You know? Then I would say, no, I won't take that as a way to, you know, to attack them.
Right.
And the liberal side will say that, you know, before we don't know much about our world. Now that we know a lot about our world, a lot of things have to be liberalized. You know, we have to find a way to use individual human beings to liberalize a lot of things from the past. Even if we think it's not what do you call it? It's not value for everyone. If we think it's not value for everyone, we should just concentrate on the individual rights, you know, that we want to liberalize that for them to get their feelings satisfied. So if you concentrate on the individual rights on the liberal side, and you also want to exercise your individual rights, even though the style that the person that they're using to fight that battle, it's not your cup of tea, because you want your individual right to be respected, you have to side with them.
Right.
You see, so we are caught in this battle that it's like, yeah, I want my individual right. He wants his individual right, but he wants to change a certain institution and society to get that right. And if I don't let him do it, that means I don't believe in individual right.
Yeah.
You see, so those are the things that I came across that is so difficult to get out of.
Right.
Yeah.
Seeing both sides, though, you know what people call it, right? Fence sitting,
Oh, okay.
right? That sometimes that makes me like super like heated. Like I get like super angry about that fact. Is that like you can see like one point from here and then one point from here, and then someone's gonna get mad because you're not picking a side,
Yeah, you know, yeah.
right? Some people see more value in picking a side and sticking with it in its right and wrongs, as opposed to seeing the right sides of both and the wrong sides of both,
Oh, both, yeah.
right?
You know,
I don't know where that came from. I
you know,
don't know where that ideology came from of where like you should pick a side. I feel like it's just human history of constantly being one side versus another, one side versus another, with the utmost like ignorance towards how that happened before. You know, people think like every time someone sees like a genocide or discrimination or you know some sort of like homicide or anything happening, the first thing that people I feel think of is like it hasn't happened like this before. This is so much different than how it's happened before. And I don't necessarily see a difference other than like it being different people involved. But I can relate it to previous instances of this same thing happening before. So what do you think about, like that's just my opinion.
yeah.
I'm curious to know what you think about the term fence sitting, where you're not picking a side.
Yeah, that, okay, fence sitting, me not picking a side, you know, I came across the reason why we we always want to be on a side, that have to do with our biological evolution, because it's always we and they, which is the way that human culture just evolved. You know, it's like we are the insiders and they are the outsiders. You see, it's like strangers no, I don't trust them. So if you have to be on the side that you think you belongs to, so we are wired to always take side, you know, but through learning, we started to find out that, the side that I'm taking, it's not the whole story.
No, it can't be.
It can be.
It's just from one side.
Yeah. But because we learn that individually, and we are social group, mammals, when individual want to break out of that, it's like he's a sellout. See, you know, because majority don't break out of a certain learned behavior or learned ideology the same time. It takes one curious or one revolutionary who will set things in motion and try to convince the rest of the people that what we're holding on to is it's not something that it's gonna do us a lot of goods. We better start to find a way to get out of it.
So why do you feel like that realm of thinking where you're like, oh, there's like right over here, but there's also wrong over here, and then there's right over here, and then there's wrong over here. Why do you think, or why does it feel like? If I'm asking, I would say, why does it feel like? But the fairer way to ask is, why do you think? Why do you think that doesn't catch as to that? Why do you think that doesn't catch in like a sense of like spreading? That way of thinking to me spreads a lot slower than one person on one side saying all of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like I've
Yeah,
asked the question kind of terribly.
there is a reason for that. There's a reason.
But it feels like a radical. This is the best way to ask it. It feels like, why do you think a radical thinker can spread his message way faster than a level-headed thinker?
Maybe the radical thinker, he's fearless.
Okay.
Yeah,
No, I get that.
yeah, he's fearless. And he want to break out of the comfort zone. That is natural to us. Because when we feel comfortable about something and nothing, it's pushing us to get out of that comfort zone, we will stay there.
That's fair.
We will stay there. But if we sense a little bit of discomfort and one radical person sense that discomfort and say, I have an idea to let them get up of that little discomfort they feel, let me build on it and drag them out. You understand what I mean? That's where it's easier for that radical person to get things quickly, done, because he already sensed a little discomfort. But if everybody feel comfortable with the status quo or the ideology that they're holding on to, and nothing is making them feel uncomfortable about it, that radical person have a lot of work, even though he have a vision that is better than what they have right now that they feel comfortable with. He have a lot of work.
See, for me, it's kind of different though.
Yeah.
For me, it's like my perspective on it is that like I feel humans are more used to sounds than they are like consciousness and thinking. So like the idea of just hearing like a loud sound, like this, hearing like a loud clap, that resonates with more people in ways that are hard to explain than somebody thinking, why did that clap happen? You know?
That's natural
So
too.
someone just being louder than other people, it does more for the average amount of people than a person that is not being just sensationally loud, you know, but trying to actually think about why certain things are the way they are. You know, for example, like one of the things that was talked about when it came to like Hitler, you know, was the fact that he was just like loud and like abrasive and like and like all this and everybody was like they were like wow, he's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
passionate
yeah,
about things. You
partially,
know
yeah,
what I'm
that's
saying?
right.
I feel like that's just because they were hearing loud noises and they had never seen like people be that sort of expressive when it came to like talking about their country after being absolutely stripped of so many things during the
Yeah,
first war. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. The analogy that you use about loud will get our attention
Yeah.
and more that because naturally loud sound or loud noise intimidates us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so when
But like
somebody,
at the same time there's like attraction to it for some
there's
reason.
attraction because it pull our attention very
Yeah,
quickly.
exactly.
You know, so
Like you have to it's like there's something about it that makes people feel like they have to know where
yeah,
this is going to end up.
yeah. So it's probably the way that we our brain is wired for our what they call our senses, right? Our senses are always on high alert.
Yeah.
You know, on high alert, and I think noise and sound trigger that to a certain level, higher level. You see, so if I shout in a crowd, everybody who hear that sound will turn around where that noise is coming from. You know, so I think people who find a way to use that to their advantage to get their point across, they probably know that intimidating factor.
Yeah.
You know, so we are just like always on high alert.
Yeah.
You know, our brain is always, you know, our nervous system is always on high alert about even when you are in a room by yourself or you are at home by yourself, so quiet and all that, a certain small sound that is more, it's not even loud, but it just make a noise, it will draw your attention. What's that? You see?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's that? So our senses are just on high alert all the time, and when it comes to something louder. So when people find a way to acquire that naturally, I think it become advantage for them.
Yeah.
Some people are just naturally
Louder.
louder.
Yeah.
A certain cultures are naturally louder.
For some reason, I don't think the European cultures are naturally loud.
No, no, no. That's why I say a certain cultures
Yeah.
are naturally louder because maybe because of we we shout or talk distance from each other.
Yeah.
You know, so we grow up with our vocal cord and all that, being doing that since we were kids, right?
Yeah.
You know, so somebody would say some Africa cultures are very loud, even in conversation.
I feel like this. So I've had like like. Oh, I gotta explain this point real quick because we're almost running out of time for this particular take. But I have this. I don't feel like it's 100% true at all.
For
I don't think it's 100% true like across the globe, right? But when it comes to like the English speaking language particularly, I feel like that is the one language or like one of the more significant languages that have benefited off of making intelligence seem like a more quieter endeavor. Like like a stereotype that happens is like somebody that's like talking like this, like, you know what I'm saying? Somebody that's talking like that, right? If they're just like hands and like talking to you and stuff like that, for some reason the English language or European culture in certain realms, it seems like that is the more unintelligent person than somebody that's just like talking to you like this.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like just kind of give it to you straight. And I don't know too many other like cultures that have that sort of stereotype, because a lot of different cultures that I've seen, they have like a way more expressive way of speaking. You know?
Yeah.
Like a lot of cultures just are naturally more expressive. I just don't know. I don't know too many cultures at all that benefit more from being quiet as opposed to loud. I've never, because a lot of the cultures that I know of that aren't English are more loud or expressive than they are quiet and methodical. You know?
Yeah, I would say it's the English language. When it comes to European languages, the English language is the last one that evolved out of other European languages.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when it comes to intellectual languages, there's only a few intellectual languages in the world, and the English one is that the ones that I can use for a lot of intellectual talking point. I cannot use French because I'm an English colony. French is also a quiet intellectual language.
Yeah?
Yeah, French it is.
Okay.
Spanish and Italian also intellectual language, but Italian is louder. Italian is yeah, yeah. Spanish is a little bit, but they just descend from, yeah. Those languages are
Right.
just that descend from, and all of them came out of the Latin language, which is also a quiet intellectual.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, so, but when it comes to the Eastern languages, the Eastern languages, also you can tell they have intellectual ones that are very quiet, like Hindi, yeah, they are also, yeah. So it's like, that's what I'm saying, that it have to do with the the culture and the geography that gave them the communication. You see, so your environment can mutate a certain behaviors.
Right.
So biology is very powerful that give mutation to a certain things. So a certain African cultures, we can be very much loud because of the geography that we find ourselves in, by trying to get each other aware of danger and all that. You see, so that can give our vocal, that can mutate our vocal loudness to shout to each other. And it's become something that we retain as a learned way of communicating. But if we want to tone it down, we have to learn how to do that. Talking louder come to us naturally because of the culture that we grow up in. So we can learn how to tone it down.
Yeah.
But if you let us be ourselves naturally, you hear us
Right.
louder than everybody.
Is that associated to certain aspects of life at all?
Yeah, it does.
Like, what would you attribute a language that is inherently louder? Like, what aspect of life is that associated to, as opposed to languages that are quiet and more like what do you see? Because like I have like so I'm putting it out there, and I don't know if this will make sense to you, truth be told, but like I feel like there are languages of like louder, and this might be pure ignorance. This might be pure ignorance. You know, I never said I was smart. Never said I was the smartest person ever.
Yeah.
But I feel like there are some languages that you can attribute to a language of survival, and there are certain languages that you can attribute to like a language of study. You know, and I feel like languages that are based in survival tend to be louder, and languages that are based in study tend to be quieter, right?
Yeah.
Which is why the English language, which is like created almost for the sake of like every word seems like overcomplicated in the English language, but like the meaning to some words are for the reason of trying to develop some sort of insight into things that we can't naturally explain because they're just feelings.
Yeah, every language is for survival.
You think every language is for survival? Everyone.
Every language is for survival.
How?
And what came out of those languages that became intellectual language, it's when they started to study things and see how they are, how they function, how they work. Then they started to create words to refer what they study.
Okay.
You see, so the beginning of the English language was just for everyday survival, water, eat, mom, dad, food, all that. All languages are based on that survival. Fear, danger, and all that. Those are universal human, then when the curiosity to find out why this water is flowing in this direction. Let's find out.
Right.
So when the people who are brave enough to go and find out the source of that river and the power that they have, then they create words to refer to them. Before all of us just know that water is something we drink, we don't know the chemistry of it. You see, we don't know the chemistry of it. We just know it's water, you drink it, you survive, right?
Fair.
We don't know the chemistry of it, CO, whatever, carbon, oxygen, and all that.
Right.
But when they started to find the instrument to look what the hell make this water possible, then they came across those chemistry.
Yeah.
Then they came up with the oxygen and the carbon, right? You see? Then they used those to talk about it. Then that's the intellectual part. But the survival part is just pick it, drink it, and move on. You see?
Well, it would be the time then. It would be the time, like the amount of time that they were allotted. Like, it always frustrates me personally. I can't say I don't understand it, but I can say it does frustrate me that based off of that, it might be a stupid opinion, but like I don't think it costs anything to further develop a language. But when you're blessed or not even blessed, when you've pillaged through certain survival, like when you've when you've gotten to a point where you forcefully, I can't even describe it. Like, I feel like when you've forcefully gotten to a point where you don't have to rely on survival based on like life or death scenarios, because now survival is a very different definition than 100 years ago survival, right?
Yes.
Now we have comfort, right? And you know, you not having, Cheetos every Friday can be like a threat to your survival.
Yeah.
That's like now, right?
Now, yeah,
But
that's
that's
right.
still a very comfortable way of living. So I feel like in that comfort, you then have the time to develop a language further.
This,
So,
yeah,
so one thing that's frustrating about me, but not about me, one thing that's frustrating to me is that every language doesn't develop at the same rate to have that way of talking about intellectual complexities
yeah,
in
yeah,
every language.
yeah. There's a reason for that.
And it's because some languages haven't been given the opportunity to be comfortable to then step up from being a language that is more survival based.
Than looking for something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
So yeah, so all indigenous cultures,
Less survival based, more looking for something. Is what I'm
yeah, you see, so they say what got that motion started when people started to look for other things outside their survival, well-being, was when we were able to domesticate crops.
Yeah.
You see, so now we have abundance of food stored to feed ourselves. So we have a lot of time in our hand not to think about food, for our survival. So there we started to use our imaginations to create things to occupy our mind. That gives rise to hierarchies and other curious brain to look for things that before everybody have to go and hunt and survive. That mind doesn't have time to do those search and look what caused this, what, all that. So the agricultural revolution gave rise to that extra thinking, extra thinking for other things that have nothing to do with our survival. You see, so it makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
So what happened was that a certain cultures were able to find a way to do it faster than other cultures.
Sometimes by force.
No, by observing what the other cultures have that they are not building on.
Okay, so sometimes by exploitation.
But yeah, is that the exploitation, also uh, curiosity, and also being at the right place at the right time when new ideas are coming forward. Because Europe that gave rise to the Industrial Revolution, they didn't originate Industrial Revolution.
Where then?
Industries existed in China and India that they didn't say it's Industrial Revolution. They just know it's an industry that it's making things to take care of their domestic needs. They say, what is industry? Industry is when product it's being made in bigger quantity. That's industry. India and China, they were using cotton to weave clothes in large quantities. That the Roman Empire and all that were going there to buy silk.
Right. Yeah.
You know, weaving cloth and all that. Yeah. Those industries existed, but Europeans were able to mechanize those industry that human labor was doing in large quantities. You see, mechanized.
Right.
Because all those knowledge about mechanization also came from that area of the world. You see, so Europe benefited because of their geographical location. You see, if you look at the
You don't think it has anything to do with the way they documented?
yeah,
That-
because the Greeks, right? The Greeks were in the middle of the Mediterranean cultures and all that, right? And the Greeks, they were like, they have to survive by trade and bringing things in from their surrounding areas.
Okay.
And they were the dominant cultures that were highly intelligent at that time. Socrates, Aristotle, and all those, you understand what I mean? And the Latin word also.
Yeah.
The writing, also came from there, right?
Yeah.
So the Greek, they were the ones that were going to the Persia areas, all this, because the continent is just joined. If you have camel and horses and all that, you can go all the way to China. It will take you a year, but when you come back with knowledge that it's unbelievable. You see, but they were satisfied with what they have, taking care of their well-being. So they were not interested coming to Europe to look for things. But Europe was the one starving for things to survive. The few that they have over there, they were fighting among themselves for it. You see? They were fighting among themselves for it. So when they started to find things that they need at the Asia area, China area and all that, for them it was like, whoa, these people are really, really ahead. All we have to do is to bring it back. And they document everything that they brought back. The Chinese document what they came in, the Indians, medicine, mathematics, all that. Even the...
You're talking about Europeans documenting them for that stuff, or are you talking vice versa?
Vice versa.
Really?
Yeah. Vice versa.
You think?
Because writing was more going on over there than even in Europe.
So medicine, but you're saying industries. Who was ahead of who in that time?
The Eurasia, India, China was ahead.
At that time.
Yeah.
And then Europeans had to document that, and they came back.
They came back
wow.
with stuff. Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
They came back with wow.
But mass production, you'll credit that to
the Europeans. That's the
Right.
mechanization of
yeah.
to do stuff.
Right.
They created the steam engine, those
Right.
locomotive and all that, right?
Yeah.
But all those calculation, those have to do with mathematics and all that, right? All came from Asia.
Right.
Even writing came from that area.
Oh.
You see, so the thing that they made available for their people came from other part of the world. You see, came from, because that's why they were able to even find raw materials outside of the European continent to build Europe. So the Europeans, they know that their well-being came from other parts of the world. But their contribution to the world is how they improve and modernize things. You see?
Yeah.
So it's like you take something that have been started by somebody and you find a way to process a new material to make it better. That's why they say when chemistry, that's why they always base everything on the scientific revolution. First, they say the agricultural revolution, then the cognition revolution. Our thinking became more challenged to do better things. Then the scientific revolution came in and just explode.
So tying it back to like the beginning of what we were talking about, like all this stuff is learned. Who develops, if not, well, I'm gonna ask it like openly. Who develops the us versus them mentality?
The us versus them is natural.
As opposed to just learning.
Yeah, it's natural. The us,
unison.
us versus them is the way that we existed in family, small tribes for thousands of years.
Because that information wasn't learned in unison unless we're talking about specific places. You said China did it, India did it,
Yeah.
and Europeans did it.
Yeah.
But not together.
Not together.
And why?
Because it's evolved, things evolve in isolation. You see, cultures that are isolated, they discover and evolve things by themselves for their life to be better. You see, so even the Mayans, the Aztecs, they think they were the only one on the planet. And everything that they were building, they didn't know that they were building monuments same like the other side of the ocean, which is Egypt. If you look at the monuments and all that, it look like the Egyptians, almost a pyramid, but in different, architectural, but all of them have the same, pyramid shape like. They didn't know that other cultures are also cognitively were thinking about geometrical way of, building things. So the Mayans, they think they are the only one living on the planet. And the same thing, a certain part of Africa, the same thing. North America, so, the same thing, India, because when the ocean split continents apart, even other animals evolve independently from each other. Some of them took the same genetic, alliances to the other continent that split from the main continent. The only continent that evolved unique animals that it's not found anywhere else is the Australia and its archipelago area, right? Yeah, you know, so they can tell those animals don't have any relation to other animals of the Asia continent. But Asia animals have the same relationship with the African continent. The tigers and all that, right? You can tell, yeah, because the continent, but Australia and other continents, they just evolve and those animals evolve, you know. So ideas were like that. Ideas were like that. And cultures that are brave enough to infiltrate other cultures were able to bring things back to where they left if they survive the journey. And when it comes to modern risk taking to look for things, that power goes to the Europeans.
A lot of people are going to be angry with you for that statement.
For like what?
I can't say that statement like a lot of people are angry because like who knows who even sees this at the end of the day. But like crediting them with that, I feel like a lot of different cultures could be credited. So in what way are you giving credit
to the Europeans?
Yes.
I mean their braveness from taking risk.
Because now it just sounds like you're saying you're crediting them with braveness to take risks and conquer other countries.
Not conquer. Yeah. The bravado of I'm gonna go beyond that ocean to see what the hell is there.
So you're saying regardless of what they did, the idea of crossing an ocean to see
what the hell is there
is admirable.
Oh yeah, that's really, really with those days with a wooden vessel.
Right.
And without even proper navigation. Not even knowing the weather. Either hurricane season or whatever and all that, right? Mm-hmm. Man, you know what? Look at how human beings, we are even afraid of the darkness.
Yeah, that's right.
When there's no light.
Yeah.
How afraid you are. And here you are knowing that you are not a fish. And you are willing to cross this ocean. Which other cultures, other tribe.
They did too.
Other tribe did, but for them, according to the way they did it, they were like on the coastal.
Okay.
They can see the land and they just,
Okay.
Yeah, the coastal.
I don't know enough to even...
Yeah, they say coastal migration.
Right.
Which my culture is like that. We are fishermen. We don't go across ocean. We just stay on the coastal. You can see the land like about 500 meters.
Right.
Anything, you can swim to the land.
Yeah.
Or you can hang on to the wooden boat and it will bring you to the coast right away. But going across the ocean in the middle and losing track of land, losing sight of land, that's...
It's admirable, I guess.
Yeah, that's a mental
battle. Yeah. Okay.
So that's one thing that the Europeans, the reason why they were willing to do that, because they were desperate for stuff.
Desperation brings out the worst or the best.
And a lot of us are doing it today.
Yeah.
A lot of us are doing it today with the modern traveling,
Recording here. All right.
seeing different angles
Okay.
that have to do with outsiders observation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's we should
right.
talk about the way we observe it, not the way outsiders observe us.
All right. Okay, so the perspective that you have allows you to be able to see Europeans crossing an ocean with no knowledge of weather, no knowledge of like the violent ways of the ocean, no knowledge of like what essentially lays under the ocean, right?
Yeah.
And you can see that as admirable before getting to what they did. Some people see what they did and they do not at all see the journey that they went on as anything admirable. What allows you to like separate what they did when they crossed the ocean from crossing the ocean and that being admirable?
Okay.
Because there's so many people that will not care about
Yeah.
them crossing the ocean.
Yeah. Okay.
Because of what they did when they
What they
crossed
did, yeah.
the ocean.
So yeah.
Like,
so
why do you have
yeah.
that? Why do you separate it?
Okay. For me,
How does that not affect you at all?
yeah. The reason why I said admirable for them crossing the ocean, I'm using it, the thinking that they have of doing that at that time without the scientific knowledge that we have available today. I'm talking on the individual, the individual thinking that he want to do that. That's what I'm talking. I'm using the way admirable. I'm not using it in what happened after that.
Yeah, but why? Like, you realize that there are people that cannot separate the two.
I understand that because
And why do you feel you're able to separate the two and you don't develop any sort of hostility towards what they did after that?
what they did after that, I have negative. I have negative view of that.
Right.
But I'm just talking
But
about.
you see a silver lining.
No, I'm just talking about the human being that is thinking what he want to do at that.
Break the fourth wall real quick.
What he want to do at that particular time, crossing the ocean, not what he's
No,
going to
yeah.
do over there.
I get you.
So that's what I'm giving the human mind,
Yeah.
the individual mind that thought about that. I say courageous.
Yeah. You're talking about the human mind, not their mind,
Yeah, no, the human mind. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Which is still their mind, but like
yeah. But it
more
was
so
it
the
was
human mind.
individual few
Yeah.
people
Right.
that have that that no fears. You understand what I mean?
I get what you mean.
No fears. The same things were happening in different parts of the world. Cultures that will go into a forest to hunt that they've never been in before, but they know that if they don't go in that forest, they're going to starve to death. And they don't know if they're going to come back or not. That's also admirable. You understand what I mean? The first,
Right.
yeah. Cultures that will say, this area is not good for us. We don't know that is what is over there. But if we stay here, there's nothing here for us. Let's take our chances and go over there. We're not sure if we're going to survive or not. That's the mind that I'm saying it's admirable.
Yeah, understand.
You know, so I can stop at there. I can stop right there, right? Then when it comes to what happened when they got there, that's a whole different story.
Right.
So we can talk about that.
No, I
Yeah.
get that, but like there people discredit that though. You know, people like people will we're in an age right now where like regardless of what people do,
Yeah.
you know, if the initial like if somebody like there's no use in creating an example. We can use this as an example, right? So there are people right now that don't value the simple fact that like it takes courage to cross an ocean.
It,
People don't value it.
yeah, people don't value,
People
yeah,
don't
because
value it
because
of
it's
the
so
action.
easy now.
Well, it's
Because
so easy
it's
now, but
yeah.
then there's also everything that happened when they crossed an ocean. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So some people look at like what happens afterwards, and they're like, "Who cares that they were able to do that?" You know. So I'm trying to figure out like, what do you feel the difference is between you and other people that do value even the most, I can't even say it's a simple thought, but to people it might be like a simple thought of like they didn't know where they were going and they crossed an ocean. Like that's intense. Like that should be admirable regardless of what you feel about the person.
Yeah.
Right? Regardless what you feel about the person or what they did and all that stuff, they had no idea what they were getting into
Yeah, into yeah.
when they got in that boat.
Yeah.
Right? Why do you feel people aren't able to even give that credit?
Because they don't want to start the conversation where I'm starting the conversation when it comes to human beings. What we are capable of doing when we are not fearful
Or desperate.
or desperate.
Desperate is complete fear.
Yeah, yeah, and desperate. Yeah, you know, that's where my conversation it's started,
Right.
and that conversation can go all the way to when they got there, what came about.
Right.
And if we want to talk about that side with all the negativeness that happened when they got there with their courage, that's another
Right.
conversation.
Would you say that like there are instances of that in completely different situations, right? Would you say that there are instances of that level of courage in different scenarios with other cultures?
Yeah, there is. Even when the Europeans got to,
You're talking about Europeans. I mean other cultures.
European, other cultures also have their courageous.
Right. But with other cultures that aren't Europeans at the same time or before, would you say there are instances of that level of courage?
Yeah, it was.
Where?
The Aztecs, genetical science have tell us that they came from Asia. The Indians, right? Yeah, they didn't originate from the continent that they are today. You see, so it's migration that brought them from another part of the world to North America. And some of them crossed frozen ice. That's another courage
Right.
because they are tropical creatures. All human beings on the planet today are tropical mammals. That's why we don't have fur on our skin. So those who left the tropical continent that they are evolved on and came to climate that they are not, they are not evolved to live there, and find a way to survive, the people who did that are also very admirable. You see?
Yeah.
So migration itself, it's really courageous. And that's what happened.
Right. And now,
So the cultures that did that, and got to where they are and used the environment that they came across to their benefit, they also caused damage to other creatures that they have to live on. You see, so the the survival that come with brutality, it's universal.
and what would be an example within the continent of Africa?
The continent of Africa, it's the reason why the brutality wasn't too much was because of
No, we're talking
the
about the courage.
the courage.
Yeah.
Oh, the courage also was migration from area to areas
Within the continent.
within the continent
Okay.
through forests and jungles and others, and avoiding other animals. Also it was happening. You see, Africa has always been like that. Migration inside the continent. Even migration out of the continent also happened from the north. And even from the south to other islands. That's also courageous, yeah.
Yeah.
There's islands all over Africa.
Yeah.
Madagascar is one of them.
Yeah.
People sailed so that's also happened,
So you'll give credit where credit's due to anyone.
Any human beings that love their comfort territory, thinking that if they don't leave, they are not going to survive, or they need more than what's there, they're going to look for something to come and add to what they have to survive, but they don't know where they're going, but they went anyway.
Right.
I give that to every human beings that, that's the beginning of,
And that's completely fair in my
Yeah.
opinion. But the thing is that obviously we're in an era where people have an array of differences of opinions, and they'll give credit to their own more so than another culture that had the same type of courage in their own way, right? So going on top of how I feel towards the entirety of it, I can understand where you're coming from, where you just give credit where to credit's due with everyone
across the board.
And we've spoken before off camera on my 3 principles of me not liking human beings as a concept, which is misanthropy, and that's based on contradiction, confusion, and hypocrisy, right? So would you, I can agree that it's hypocritical to see courage here and not here when here is the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure out why you feel that way, in terms of you can give credit where credit's due to whoever has the same amount of courage, but when it comes to people that won't, what do you feel separates you two in being able to do that?
Because I'm basing my thinking on the human beings that is capable of,
On the general human brain.
on the general human, the human physiology
Right.
that is capable of doing things that it's looking at it from the beginning, it's very scary or fearful.
Right.
So for me, it's the human beings. It doesn't matter what type of human beings you are. It's just the human beings that is able to
Right.
do that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying society or culture and all that.
Right.
I'm just basing on the individual human mind that will say, I'm going. Then the next one will say, I'm coming with you. That's an individual
Yeah.
too. The third one, you know, see,
You don't feel more, so you don't feel more pride or some sort of like fulfillment when you hear those stories specifically from your culture as opposed to other cultures?
what I do is that,
You know what I'm asking.
yeah, yeah,
You get what I'm
what I
getting
do,
at.
fulfillment, right?
Yeah.
You know,
From
what
your, like when you
my
hear a
culture,
story that is revolving around the same amount of courage from like let's say black culture,
yeah.
as opposed to hearing about like white or Asian or Indian culture doing the same thing. Do you see them all as equal, or do you feel like more pride when you hear those stories from your culture?
Uh, okay, maybe I'll feel pride when I didn't know much about other cultures.
Okay.
But now that I'm able to learn about other cultures that were doing things independently with the same human mind and according to where they are, then I realized that if it's reverse, you know, if it's reverse, that culture goes to where I'm from and I'm at where he is with the same human mind, I'll be doing what they did and they will be doing what my culture did. That's why it's always for me the human.
Right.
You see, so I will feel pride about my culture, what we are able to accomplish in our territory, and say, wow, they are also great, what they are able to accomplish in their territory. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get
Yeah,
where you're coming
so
from.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm still using the same human, you know. So I'm still,
I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming
Yeah,
from.
so
It's just very like I have like a I have like a very like like I have like a dark humor kind of brain.
yeah,
Like I have
okay.
like a dark humor kind of
Yeah.
like you know what I'm saying? So like the like Zed list Dave Chappelle joke, like the bottom of the
Yeah.
bottom Dave Chappelle joke is like, oh, he's more proud to be human than he is black.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, 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 that's yeah.
It's like he sees more value in being human
Human,
than being just
black.
black.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I agree with that.
which is like why? Because some people are more proud to be black than they are human. Like,
Yeah.
so like why do you
That's-
feel
yeah.
more pride in being human?
Yeah, because because I'm using the internal, I'm using the internal biology
Yeah,
of the human.
right.
You know, because you can tell either I'm black and white when X-ray is inside my body.
I
X-ray,
mean that's fair.
yeah, when the X-ray is not showing the outside, and they put it side by side, you know, all you will see is that I'm a little taller, he's a little
Shape of
shorter,
the skull.
the skull and all that.
Yeah.
But you can tell either I'm yellow, black, green, whatever,
Right.
looking at that internal X-ray. So that's the human way that I came across when it comes to human universality of things. Because we function the same way internally for our survival. Desires, fear, sadness, self-interest. They say we want comfort and pleasure, but those two things sometimes they don't come together. Sometimes you get a comfort, you don't get a pleasure. Sometimes you get a pleasure, you don't get a comfort. And that's just internal biology. So when the science has made it possible for us to understand that, I let go a lot of things that I don't have to hold on to.
Yeah.
Because I know better how to think about things because of what information from the knowledge that have been,
Right.
brought forth from looking at those things deep.
But that's crazy. So the thing is that like you broaden it, like giving like full disclosure in the definition of what I feel I am or what I am, which is a misanthropist or misanthrope, which is like as far as human beings as a whole, I hate human beings as a whole. I don't like the concept of being a human being based on the three principles of contradiction, hypocrisy, and confusion. If you do not like those three things, human beings are the toughest thing to understand, because within human beings as a whole will always lie contradiction, confusion, and hypocrisy, right?
Yeah.
But you're cool with being human, right? When you just say I'm proud to be black, you take everything that every other race has done and you like throw it away.
Throw it away.
Like
Yeah,
it's-
that's
like
right.
it's- Like it's foreign to you.
Yeah.
Right? Which then decreases how much contradictions, hypocrisy, and confusion happens, because, right, there's obviously a large amount of the world that isn't black, right?
Yeah.
So just on like simple math, right, the amount of contradictions, hypocrisy, and confusion that happens within the human race, right, that gets lessened,
Yeah.
because we're just looking at the black race, right?
Yeah.
Because that's it. But you broaden it and you feel a sense of fulfillment and a sense of like endearment or like happiness to be human.
Human, yeah.
Right? So I'm curious to know how those three things, contradiction, confusion, and hypocrisy, affect you when you are just looking at humans for human beings' sake.
Okay, I would say hypocrisy, confusion,
And contradiction.
and contradiction. The hypocrisy first have to do with self-interest. You see,
I think it's nature too, but
it have to do. Self-interest is all natural.
oh,
Yeah,
that's, okay.
Yeah, self-interest is, you have to survive. Yeah, self-interest. Your interest is to survive.
Yeah,
Is to live.
yeah.
So if something that is gonna give you survival have to test your hypocrisy, you do a very quick calculation for the trade that you want to allowed.
Yeah.
If you want to trade being called hypocrites, but your survival is your number one priority.
You're gonna be a hypocrite.
You're gonna be a
You're gonna be a hypocrite every time.
yes, exactly. Yeah, so
It's fine.
yeah, and confusion. The second one is
That's a
confusion.
trickier one.
Yeah, confusion It's because our world, it's very complicated than we can process.
Yeah.
You see, so we are naturally confused all the time about the
Yup.
challenges of our world,
Yup.
you know, because the natural world doesn't care about us.
No.
But we always think that we have to be the number one priority when it comes to our world. And why it's not happening? And I'm confused. You know, I'm confused.
I get it.
Yeah, I'm confused.
Yeah.
Because we are the top of the animal, you know,
Yeah.
we're supposed to be. But the natural world over there just does its own thing blindly or whatever it is. And, you know, it's going to rain. I don't care. The rain will rain until your house is buried. You know, the earth is going to shake. I don't care. Your house is built on a hillside. The earth is going to shake. You know, but you want your world to cater to your desire. And if it's not happening, you are confused about it.
Yeah.
The same thing when other people don't understand you, you say, what's wrong with them? Because they are doing their own thing just like the weather, just like the, you know. So you say, so that's the confusion part. And the third one, it's
Contradiction.
the contradiction.
It's kind of the same as hypocrisy.
Yeah, the contradiction is that
It's
we use our self-interest to contradict ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is hypocritical.
It is. We do that. You know, oh, you know what? I don't like that food, but let me taste it.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. But like you blow that up to like very, very like detrimental like scenarios that involve other people's lives.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, oh, I like going there.
Yeah.
But like, let's destroy it anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like,
you know.
like why? Like,
You know-
like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But then that creates a domino effect
Exactly. Yeah.
into confusion,
Yeah.
into hypocrisy.
Because, yeah.
And how does that not make you mad?
You know. So those three, you know. So it's like, they say, if for you to learn about yourself, you have to understand yourself. That you can be hypocrite, you can be confused, and you can contradict yourself, which you think you cannot until you are at a place that you really have to contradict yourself to keep going.
Because it's a test of survival.
Exactly. So those three things are so, you know, either evolution dealt us that,
Well, yeah.
and we can evolve out of it.
No, I truly don't believe.
Yeah,
we
we can
can
evolve out of it.
Yeah, no.
You know, so it's like,
Because I feel nature does that.
yeah, and another contradiction, what I will bring into the contradiction part of it is also is that we say we are very, very, very civilized society. We know a lot, but we can't stop being barbaric towards each other in some areas.
No, that's a good example of the fact that we always define ourselves as like a civilized society, but we
Yeah.
cannot stop being
So
barbaric
towards
in the most ridiculous places.
yeah.
I get it.
You know, look at we spend trillions of dollars building instruments that it's only for destruction.
Only. Nothing else. Afterwards, it becomes about energy.
Yes, yeah.
But during, it's primarily about destruction.
Yeah, it's destruction. And somebody is benefiting from that. And he wants that destruction to keep going.
Yep.
And you say-
self-interest.
Yeah, self-interest. And you
Because of the
say,
self-interest.
is it they don't see, they don't understand or what. Because it's like either the human mind is capable of, you know, compartmentalizing in a way that you just zombie yourself from reality, that if your eye don't see it, it doesn't affect your thinking.
Right.
You know, so it can be like people who invest their money in destruction machines.
Yeah.
They see how their stock is doing on their laptop, and they go to a fancy dinner, and from there go home and drink champagne and sleep. They don't watch TV about what they invest in, the destruction that it's causing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like they zone themselves, you know, they zone themselves to concentrate on the profit, but not the trickle down effect of the profit. You see? So it's like human beings are capable of, you know, the reason why I say human beings are capable of, because I'm using human beings, because we all have a degree of doing that. Maybe we think we can help because of the corner that we are. You know, so it's like they say in North America, the food that we throw away every day can feed half of the populations that we think don't have enough to eat.
Right. 100%. Yep.
You see? You know, you go to Tim Hortons right now, all the donuts and stuff that, the muffin and stuff that won't sell today, it's at the back
Yeah.
for the garbage to pick up
Yeah.
tomorrow. But we say people are starving. They don't have enough to eat. Then I say, how is that possible?
Somebody's self-interest.
Yeah, and sometimes I would say maybe the reason why it's possible is the people that are in that location that extra have to be thrown away have no choice but to throw it away. Have no choice but to throw away. Why? Because they are distance from where the starvation is happening, which also can be natural. That's another contradiction that you get confused about.
Yeah.
So the confusion and the contradiction, you know. So it's always something that I always think about, you know. And I remember when we got a big blackout a few years back. I was working for Sobeys, and they told us to go to the supermarkets and bring things back. And all the dairy department and all that, if 24 hours there is no freezer cooling temperature for a certain dairy stuff, all have to go to the garbage. Then I asked the manager, But these are smoked turkeys, smoked this, smoked that, and all that. Those are all okay. He said, but the rules say 24 hours, no cooling temperature.
Yeah.
It have to be garbage.
Yeah.
Then he said, it's not spoiled.
Nope. But it's the way it sounds.
Yeah, this is
It's
yeah.
the way it sounds.
That's right. So I told him
Because somebody's gonna say, "Oh, this wasn't in a refrigerator for 24
for hours. Yeah, but it.
No, but it doesn't matter that, like, yeah, but that's fine. Nobody likes to hear that.
So he said what they were able to do for the food bank that in Kitchener, Cambridge area, Waterloo area, they arrange for the food banks around there for a certain product that they have to communicate that it have to be eaten the same day when they take it from the store donated.
Right.
Disclaimer,
Yeah.
because they don't want a lawsuit. Because somebody get free food and get salmonella poisoning.
Yeah, they sue.
So
They sue. They become richer than they ever were before, if they can afford it.
Yeah. So,
See?
so those are the things that sometimes it comes and I say, what a contradiction that
Yeah.
you know, it's
It's
amazing.
all over the place.
It's all over the place, and it's like the way the institutions are put together for protection and also for the rule of law or something like that have a lot of areas that when it comes to the natural thinking of human beings, that's why we say it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make any sense. But because of these institutions are put together for profit, they have to find a way for that profit margin not to be compromised.
Right.
You know, so they find a way for the education system to, you know, to weave all those into our, you know, our thinking,
Right.
you know, and our upbringing and all that. And when we grow up, we can, with our instinct, you know, and our intuition, we can see that some of these things it just doesn't vibe right.
Yeah.
But because it's an institutional establishment that put those things together and we are part of the institution and the establishment, we just say, I can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
Yeah. But it sounds like you don't let that outweigh the achievements we've been able to overcome as human beings.
No.
I think that's the difference between you and me.
Yeah.
I let all of that negative in those three categories outweigh the achievements that we've been able to accomplish as human beings, and you don't think they hold a candle. Like you'll look at all of these contradictions, the confusion, the hypocrisy, and they still probably won't hold a candle to somebody crossing an ocean in like blind. You know, and I look at it and I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah,
is
I
that-
can.
what's more impressive, the fact that we can make such a complicated world, or that somebody could either be so scared that they are going to put themselves in the most scariest circumstances, or so fearless that they're going to put themselves into the most scariest circumstances? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Sometimes sometimes I put things, I give things their higher degree of, you know, credit at the era.
at the era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the era.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of things that I would say it doesn't make sense because of the era that we are in right now.
Like, what's more? So, let's equate amazement. Like, let's put like frustration, right, in the same category as amazement, right? So, and this is gonna make sense to you later.
Yeah.
I guarantee. Just bear with me while I have this thought.
I
Okay?
already
Hold
kind
on.
of sense what you make
Yeah.
sense to me.
Okay, so let's put frustration, right, in the same category as amazement, right? Is the frustration of bureaucracy as amazing as crossing an ocean to get to another continent that you have no idea about? Because when I think about bureaucracy and the way people will like dedicate writing laws to like just make things as complicated as possible, I truly wonder, like, is that more amazing from a frustrating standpoint as somebody just being like, I'm gonna cross an ocean at night?
Crossing the ocean at night, it's more amazing
Than bureaucracy.
than bureaucracy.
Because I don't think so.
Okay, let me explain. No, let me explain. Yeah, it's more. The bureaucracy. The bureaucracy, right? It's a learn.
Yeah.
It's a gradual learn.
Yeah.
And thought
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. But the dedication to it.
Yeah, the dedication to it
Is
can be amazing. The dedication to it can be amazing to you if the person that is dedicated to it, right?
Yeah.
You think he's not benefiting as much as she or he is supposed to.
Right.
You
Yeah.
see, he's so why he's so much
Yeah.
indoctrinated into that bureaucracy
Yeah.
when I don't think he's getting any satisfaction out of it.
Defense lawyers.
Yeah. You see, but it's the unseen benefits that he's probably getting that you don't know about.
Right.
So that's why you find it amazing.
Right.
So I will put that in a category of until you know what he or she is getting out of it, then your amazement will be so, oh, now I got it.
I guess.
Yeah. But when it comes to crossing the ocean in that era,
Yeah.
in that era, that there's no even a hint of built in our human evolutionary mind sonar navigation like the dolphins,
Right.
and we don't even have flippers.
Nothing.
We don't even have flippers to say.
Yeah.
Eco sound navigation that the dolphins have, right?
Right.
So and you are just a land mammal with no flippers and all that, and you look at this vast body of water, and you just want to jump into a wooden boat and go across it in the night, in the daytime, you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I understand completely
That's-
what you mean. I get it.
That's really, 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 in that era.
Yeah. People lose sight. I'm included in that. People
Because
lose sight of how amazing that is.
I took a ship from Africa to Europe,
Yeah.
and it was 6.5, 7 days.
Jesus.
And I would come and stand and be watching these waves.
Yeah.
No land, no nothing. those. But my comfort is that this is a big iron
Yeah.
built ship with
Yeah.
engine and about 20, 30 people in there that look like me, human, right? They have place you can sleep and all that. When I'm in there, I forget about how dangerous is it.
Right.
But once I come and see the waves and all that,
Yeah.
you know how dangerous it is.
Yeah.
So moment by moment, my fear keep
Right.
disappearing moment by moment
Right.
until I came, the ship docked. Then I know this is where I belong.
Yeah.
No.
100%. Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
you know, so those are the things that, and
I get you.
it's the modern time.
Yeah.
So when I use the error, that's why I say the human mind that just want to do that is the one that I'm giving thumbs up.
Fair.
But every geographical area have a culture that take the giant leap. You know, when they use the giant leap, just like the first time human beings left the surface of the earth
Right.
and into the moon,
Right.
that's giant leap for human beings. No human beings have left the surface of the earth before.
Right.
You know, no even other earthly animal have left the atmosphere of the earth, either birds or not. We know birds can fly, but they always stay in the atmosphere of the earth because they cannot penetrate the ozone layer, right?
Right.
Birds have gravity, you see?
Yeah.
So the first time human being put themselves into a rocket,
Yeah.
that's another bravado.
Yeah.
Because you know that that rocket that they put you on, it's a fireball right in your ass.
Yeah.
Shoot.
You're gone. Yeah.
It's like they tie you on on top of a bullet
Yeah.
and shoot
then
it.
just shoot it out.
Yeah. So it's, and what made that possible is the human mind.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Not the color, not the hair, not the nose,
Yeah.
not
I
the
don't know.
leg. Yeah.
I don't know why a lot of people can't see that though.
Jeez. You know, so those are the things that, as we live in a very good information age and era now, for me, it's a way, it's good for us to try to get out of our comfort zone of the way economically we feel comfortable and we don't want any other thing to penetrate that part process that is making our economic life better. I say, no, you are not doing your mind any favor about the world that is around you. Yeah, you are not doing your mind any. You know, they say it's what they call it. When they say knowledge is power, they are not using that for you to make money. You know, they say anytime you get knowledge, it comes with new things.
Yeah.
You know, knowledge, yeah, come with new things. The new things don't have to be a material wealth.
Right.
It have to be with your mind. Say, wow, I'm glad I know this. You know, I'm glad I know this. So you free your mind from the ignorant that the mind can put itself into if you don't get out of your economic comfort zone.
Yeah.
That have to
100%.
do with a few thoughts
Yeah.
every day. A few thoughts every day. A few thoughts every. So for me, I think I grew out of that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I grew out of that.
That makes sense.
30 years ago, I won't be talking the way I'm talking now, but the information age just became more available through,
There's people now though that will say the exact same. There's people now the same age as you that will talk how you were talking 60 years ago.
Yeah, 60 years ago.
You
Yeah.
know, like it's just it really is about like the information that you get.
Yeah,
Like, it really comes down to what you value.
Yeah, quality.
You know, it just comes down to what you value.
Yeah.
And that's the part that like
You know,
always like
I'm glad that there's a lot of knowledge and information right now that used to belongs to a certain privileged class,
right.
you know, that it's no more that way.
Yes. Right.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
So, so we, those of us who were not privileged in those class societies, and now those information are available for us to just get a hint of it. Your free time, why don't you do that? I know sometimes, you need a social group to draw your attention to it. But right now, that have been taken over by social media. Before
A self-interest game.
yeah, because before it's your social group that will bring you some new knowledge because one person went and found out, right?
Yeah.
And now they say social media. So you don't have to depend on your social group to go to your gathering place, just like before, gathering place was more gathering place for you to get out of your lonely thought. It's religious congregations.
Okay, religious, yeah. Yeah. I was like the OG.
It's,
The
it's religious congregation, right?
I was gonna say coffee shop.
Yeah, no, it's religious congregations.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why they were the first social institution to build big buildings to bring more people in. Sometimes they don't even. It's not that they're building the building to bring more square foot for the human beings. Sometimes they build the building for you to look at it and enter. That's the cathedral. You see how the cathedral.
Yeah.
What those area of the cathedral have to do with the human foot?
Yeah.
You see, it's like those cathedrals that they build with the top roof and all that in a very elaborate design, that's not for the human foot to know. That's for the look,
Yeah.
That's for the look for you to come in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you see that so higher up in the sky, you think it's close to heaven. So when you enter, you are close to the heaven. You see the chimney. Even the Pope wearing that tall funnel is close to heaven enough for you for him to get your attention.
Jeez. Jeez.
That's the exaggeration.
Shots fired.
For the human, yeah, shots fired. That's the exaggeration for the human mind to say that, man, you really look amazing. I'm coming closer to you. So man. So the human mind, it's the most powerful, apparatus that we can laugh at the way it can be manipulated with visual and language. Visual and language, man, don't underestimate human visual satisfaction and the language that will massage our brain to relate to that visual satisfaction.
You didn't incorporate sound in there. You didn't incorporate sound in there.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know, so we are.
Facts.